Welcome to a Law in Sport Insight with me, Sean Cottrell, the founder of Law in Sport, and Daniel G of Phil Fisher Waterhouse. Daniel G is an expert in football finance and other football law matters, and today we're going to be discussing third-party ownership. Daniel, you've recently done a blog that has generated a lot of discussion, I believe, on third-party ownership of players in Argentina.
Yes, so it actually started because I read a bit of a piece on an article on third-party ownership, which said that it had actually been prohibited in Argentina. And so what I did, I contacted one of my lawyer friends, Ariel Rec, in Argentina, and actually asked the question, had it been prohibited? And he was of the opinion that it hadn't. And as a result, then I thought, well, here's a good opportunity to do a quick blog, me doing a bit of basics on third-party ownership, and then also on the ramifications and consequences, and Ariel to actually dig down into the actual regulation itself, and that's where it came from.
Oh, very interesting. And so, just to give people an overview of, if they want to read the blog to find out what you both had to say, what was your take on it in the end, or Ariel's take?
Yeah. So. Really, the idea was to explain a little bit what third-party ownership is in football, which is effectively an entity apart from the club owning a future economic stake in that player's transfer value. And there's been lots of controversy about it because it can have sort of supposedly non-transparent side effects like money laundering or tax evasion issues, or integrity of issues, or match-fixing potential issues. And so UEFA and FIFA are trying to do lots of things at the moment to possibly regulate the phenomenon. But in Argentina, at least anyway, it seems that there has been sort of tax legislation passed in order to actually make that process by which clubs are receiving transfer monies more transparent for taxation purposes.
And so just to give some of our readers who are less familiar with third-party ownership, what are some of the integrity issues around that, and where could it potentially cause a problem or not, depending on your view?
No, exactly. Well, I've been arguing, and I know we've discussed for a number of years actually, one of my concerns is that if you have a club owner that also owns economic rights in football players, if that club is playing against those players who that club owner owns, you have the potential for that club owner, at least anywhere possibly, to be influencing how that player plays by telling his own players to go easy on that player, by maybe interfering with club selection for a particular position that might be used. And that information could be passed on to other third parties potentially who may know about certain instances during a match that may then influence the outcome of the match. And I think, at least from a transparency perspective, I'm sure fans like myself, administrators, regulators, and other clubs want to ensure that the only outcome that is uncertain is that one between 11 players plus substitutes on a pitch competing fairly to win, draw, or lose a match.
And so with this situation in Argentina at the moment, what sort of ramifications would that have? Because obviously sport being and football in particular being a global activity, what impact will this have on the European teams or clubs?
That was a really interesting thing because obviously, well, not obviously, but a lot of third-party owned players start their careers effectively in South America, where some companies are willing to take a gamble on young Brazilian under-21 internationals.
And how much money are we talking about here?
Well, it can range from, you're turning into Jeremy Paxman on it can range from a few €100,000 to potentially a few million euros. So a company may take 20% of the future economic rights of that player for a certain amount, and 2 years down the line, or even a short amount of timeline, they transfer to a European club for several million euros, and that's where the big profit margins can potentially come. But I think the point being is that if a lot of the third-party owned players start their careers in South America, one of the biggest markets is effectively Argentina. And the issue therefore was that if Argentina were effectively banning third-party ownership, that was quite a large market that would suddenly dry up for clubs that potentially rely on this type of external finance in order to drive revenues that they can, so they can actually be sustainable in the short term.
So I guess if people want to know more about this, they can contact either you or Ariel, or comment underneath your blog. And can you just remind people of your Twitter handle?
It's quite easy actually. It's at Football Law. So hopefully everyone will know that.